So good. A lot of people here. Don't screw this up. All right. Well, on behalf of 1901, I'd like to welcome all to this graduation ceremony. First off, graduates, we made it, you know. Besides a few who couldn't walk this stage with us today, for certain circumstances, God has a plan for all of us. And each person who could not complete this course, I still have the utmost respect for participating and pursuing such a mentally and physically demanding profession. For those of you here that fought the battle and indeed rose above as a group, we did start from the very bottom, and it looks like the whole team's here. Think about how far we've come individually and as a class. Looking back to day one, it seems like it was just yesterday we sat in that truck barn, gathered around each other, listening to each instructor and faculty member introduce themselves, then laying down the rules for the campus, which included one specific rule that affected many: no spitting shoe on campus, which only left one option for most: got it. As the days progressed and we received our tools, belt, and gas, the anticipation set in for everyone. When could we start climbing? It wasn't until week 2 we sank our first gas into those poles and got the feel for the 9 climbing standards, including free step, flip, free step, flip. It was a big learning curve for a lot of us, figuring out that when climbing a pole for the first time, going home that night with sore muscles and bruises, it sucked. But as weeks progressed and we had more time on the pole, strength grew, and I noticed a lot of enthusiasm around the yard, especially climbing pits. Students were improving and gaining confidence in climbing. The morale inside the classroom and outside the pits was boosted. The team chants that you have heard were created, and suddenly it started to feel like a giant family. Even though Tesla and Edison were separated and some competition arose, we still at any moment had each other's backs. It's a true brotherhood. Coming into this school, expectations were high for the price we paid in full to participate in such a prestigious college. Immediately, we quickly realized how solid our instructors were, that I believe are some of the best in the industry, and it has been an honor to be coached by them. Each one has a different quality that was brought to the table. Quickly, we realized Mr. Sobolewski was the classroom genius, bringing in electrical theory like a madman, and instilling into our brains the importance of Ohm's law. Always helping anyone with any problem or question they had. Truly an amazing classroom instructor that takes his job very seriously. Thank you, Mr. Sobo. Next, Mr. Keone's not here. He's the one everyone took very serious from the beginning, since his first comment during his introduction was, "I'm not here to be your friend." In fact, I remember the first day after getting voted in as vice president, Mr. Keone had caught me in the yard on my phone. And after busting out 25 push-ups, which we always did out when we broke rules, he looks at me and says, "Solid first day as vice president, huh?" We had a little laugh. Keone is actually a very humble person with a big heart. You can always ask for advice, but you better be loud. He doesn't like quiet talkers. Huh? What? Yep. Was some of his favorite words. So thanks, Mr. Keone, wherever he is. Next is Mr. Mallard. Little M, Big D. That's what we would call him for his big daddy skills in the climbing pit. Always critiquing and sharpening our skills as climbers, he always had the eagle eye, easily distinguishing a knot from 35 feet up if it was a square knot or what we called a granny knot. He could always keep you honest on your competencies, and if he felt like you ever got the benefit of the doubt, he would let you know, "Hey, I like the white monsters, by the way." So thanks for everything. Next is Mr. Peterson, the Bionic Man, also known as B-Dog. This man has his battle scars to show and some cool stories to go along with them. We didn't get to spend a lot of time with him since he was injured from a climbing accident and missed half the term. But this man is a very inspiring person, from the stories of serving this country and earning a Purple Heart to the risk he took catching a falling ladder off the H structure. which little did he know saved multiple students below from getting injured. Thanks for setting a positive example and leading the students. Wish we got to spend more time with you. Next is Mr. Edmondson. Alan. Always encouraging everyone to push each other, even if students doubted their own personal performance. He would encourage us to push them even further than they have ever gone and to dig deep to complete competencies. We appreciate that very much. He's also known as the loudest person in the school, possibly in the world. If we got Mr. Edmondson to laugh in class, everyone knew about it in the building. I think he got in trouble a couple times. Thank you for dedicating your time to help students dig deep, brother. Next is Mr. Brody. The 29-year-old OG lineman who started in this trade at a young age, like a lot in this graduating class. He's a fanatic when it comes to setting poles. It better be straight as an arrow or he's not happy. Just an all-around cool instructor to work with and easygoing, but also full of knowledge. Thanks for being a brother out there and teaching us the ropes, Mr. Brody. Next is Mr. Bartholomew, call Mr. Barber. Solid individual, always being the student's mentor inside the classroom or out in the yard. We can always talk to Mr. Bart about future jobs or his suggestions on the trade. He's always a straight shooter, which we all respect and look up to. And really appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
I'm doing it.
Next, Mr. Martin. He's not here. He's a man with true grit that has been through his fair share of work and knows his way around lineman. He has taught us to always take safety very seriously and never overlook the small details when working a job. He also rides a Harley, which is pretty cool. Thank you, Mr. Martin, for always putting up and putting in the hard work day in and day out with the students who are true inspiration. Next is Mr. Tater, a legend, also known as the Punisher. One of the toughest individuals I've ever met at 5'2". A lot of respect for this man, he has earned it. If you're acting dumb or just can't answer a question, Mr. Tater would give you this hard stare, which lasted like 5 minutes it seemed like, and then tell you the answer, followed up with a head nod, like you knew it the whole time. He always has the class laughing with his body language or actions, but he has also brought a lot of us to the realization that this trade is very serious. And the stories he has shared with us, we will never forget and always remember our fallen brothers who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for mistakes made. Thanks, Mr. Tater, for being the big brother to many and always having the best interest of the students. You're the man. Next is Mr. Rogers, also not here, but Mr. Rogers, also known as Bear. If you haven't met Mr. Rogers before, let me tell you, he is a beast, the man of steel. Also has a company called Rapid Rope. If you have an Instagram, he's out. He's a very humble individual with a dedication to his craft, and we can all see it in his teaching to us in the yard. Thanks, brother, for always being there for us and mentoring the students for the future that lies ahead. Next is Mr. Foss, not here, the boss. We had him in the beginning of the year in underground, what he also called Thunderground. And also where we quickly found out students this term couldn't use knives without cutting themselves. It's unfortunate. Mr. Foss is old school soul with a lot of experience in the trade, which, like Mr. Tater, shared many stories that instilled the seriousness of this profession. He's a safety fanatic, and we really appreciate the time he's spent with us out in the yard and in the classroom. Also, if you need a sweet hand-forged knife made of bridge cable, steel, or Damascus, he's your man. Thank you, Mr. Foss. Finally is Mr. Fluke, also known as Fluke Daddy, a legend on campus. He also drives a sweet 06 Chevy Duramax, which instantly makes him that much cooler to us Chevy fans and a god to all you Ford fans. Mr. Fluke, in so many ways, is a true inspiration and mentor to us all, from his serious demeanor to his inspirational quotes every morning in our morning briefs. Also a man full of stories we will never forget, making sure we always remember safety comes number one no matter what. Thank you for everything you have done and continue to do for us in this trade, Mr. Fluke. You're legendary. So, in closing, I want to thank the graduating class, especially for making this time on campus such a memorable experience. You know what I mean? When we leave here, our reputation will speak for itself and reflect the hard work, skills, and dedication to the craft each of these instructors have instilled into us. I wish every one of you a safe and prosperous journey through this trade, and remember this. Robert Frost once said, 2 roads diverge in the wood and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Thank you, guys.
For being our class vice president, we got you a plaque.